Have you ever paused in the quiet aftermath of a shared moment and asked yourself, did I lose myself in this, or did I find myself? Intimacy at its core is far more than physical. It's a raw, unfiltered reflection of who you are. It holds up a mirror to your vulnerabilities, your insecurities, and even your deepest desires for love, connection, and worth. But here's the question no one talks about enough. Are your relationships empowering you, or are they quietly stealing pieces of your self-esteem? It's a weighty thought, isn't it? Because the truth is, intimacy isn't just about bodies. It's about boundaries. It's not about giving yourself away. It's about sharing yourself with care, intention, and strength. And here's the twist. The ancient Stoics, those philosophers we think lived in worlds far removed from ours, have so much to teach us about this deeply modern dilemma. They believed that intimacy, like life itself, is not about perfection. It's about mastery, not over others, but over yourself. What you feel in relationships, what you give, what you take, it's all shaped by how much you've learned to respect and love yourself. True empowerment in intimacy comes not from what someone else sees in you, but what you know to be true about yourself. So let me ask you this. When you step into the space of love and closeness, are you carrying yourself with pride, with authenticity, with strength, or are you handing over your power piece by piece? This isn't just about sex or love, it's about you, your wholeness, your ability to stand tall in every moment, no matter how vulnerable. Let's explore what it really means to nurture your self-esteem in the most sacred of spaces. 1. Know yourself. Before you know another, before you can share your heart, your mind, or your body with someone else, you must first understand who you are. Self-awareness is the foundation of empowerment in any relationship. Without it, intimacy becomes an act of seeking validation or filling voids, rather than a conscious choice to connect. The Stoic philosopher Seneca once said, "No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity, for he is not permitted to prove himself." In the context of intimacy, this adversity begins as a willingness to confront your inner truths, your fears, desires, values, and boundaries. To cultivate this clarity, spend time with yourself. Ask, what do I truly value? What makes me feel respected and loved? What am I unwilling to compromise on? Journaling, meditating, or even just sitting in stillness can help you explore these questions. The more deeply you understand yourself, the less likely you are to seek validation externally. Intimacy becomes not about proving your worth, but about sharing it, with confidence, honesty, and grace. 2. Embrace vulnerability as a form of courage. Vulnerability is one of the most misunderstood aspects of intimacy. It's often seen as a weakness, a sign of fragility that might expose you to rejection or judgment. But in truth, vulnerability is the purest form of strength. It takes courage to let someone see you fully, your flaws, fears, and unpolished edges. As Marcus Aurelius reminds us, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Choosing to be vulnerable is a conscious decision to trust yourself, not the outcome. Start small. Share a piece of yourself with someone you trust. A worry, a hope, a memory that shaped you. Notice how it feels to put your walls down, even slightly. Vulnerability isn't about recklessness or oversharing. It's about selective honesty that aligns with your values. When you embrace it, you empower yourself. You remind yourself that your worth doesn't come from someone else's reaction. It's rooted in your courage to be authentically you. 3. Detach from external validation. In relationships, it's easy to fall into the trap of basing your self-worth on how much someone desires or approves of you. Compliments feel like a warm glow. Silence can feel like a cold rejection. But here's the hard truth. Relying on external validation to define your value is like chasing shadows. You'll never catch enough to feel whole. Epictetus captured this beautifully when he said, "Man is not worried by real problems so much as by his imagined anxieties about real problems." What we often imagine is that someone else's opinion of us determines our worth, but that's just an illusion. This doesn't mean closing yourself off to love or connection. Instead, it's about shifting your focus inward. The next time you feel the urge to seek validation from your partner or someone you admire, pause. Ask yourself, what do I truly think about myself in this moment? Have I honored my values? When your self-worth stems from within, you approach relationships from a place of abundance, not neediness. You're no longer asking to be completed. Instead, you're offering your full, unshakable self. 4. Turn conflict into an opportunity for growth. Conflict in relationships often feels like a storm, messy, uncomfortable, and something we instinctively want to avoid. But here's the surprising truth. Disagreements can be powerful moments of growth, both for the relationship and for you as an individual. As Seneca wisely observed, difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body. Conflict, when approached with patience and reason, isn't the end of closeness. It's an invitation to deepen understanding and build resilience. The next time tension arises, pause before reacting. Take a deep breath and ask yourself, what is the root of this disagreement? How can I respond calmly and constructively? Speak from a place of honesty, but also empathy, focusing on resolution rather than blame. When you do this, conflicts transform. They become less about division and more about collaboration, a chance to refine your communication and grow closer. In embracing challenges with grace, you empower yourself to navigate relationships with strength and integrity. 5. Pursue connection, not perfection. In a world obsessed with ideals, it's easy to approach relationships with the expectation of perfection, flawless communication, constant passion, and an effortless understanding. But striving for perfection in intimacy sets you up for frustration and disappointment. Instead, embrace the idea that intimacy is a process, not a destination. It's a dynamic, evolving dance where growth happens in the messy, in-between moments. When you let go of perfection, you free yourself to be present. You start listening without judgment, forgiving mistakes, and celebrating the unique way you and your partner navigate the world together. Ask yourself, am I focusing on what's real and present in my relationship, or am I holding on to unrealistic expectations? Shift your energy toward appreciating the small, imperfect gestures of love and understanding. In doing so, you'll discover that connection, real, honest, and messy, is far more fulfilling than perfection ever could be. 6. Honor your boundaries as acts of self-respect. Boundaries are not walls, they are bridges. They don't block intimacy, they guide it. In relationships, boundaries are essential acts of self-respect that protect your emotional, mental, and physical well-being. The Stoics, particularly Epictetus, emphasized the importance of controlling what is within our power. He said, "Know first who you are, and then adorn yourself accordingly." In relationships, this means defining your limits clearly and sticking to them, not as a rejection of others, but as an affirmation of yourself. It may feel uncomfortable at first, especially if you're used to prioritizing others' needs over your own. But honoring your boundaries reinforces your worth. It shows you that your needs matter. And here's the beauty. The right person won't just respect your boundaries. They'll admire the strength it takes to uphold them, and intimacy will deepen as a result. Intimacy, in all its forms, is one of life's most beautiful and transformative experiences. But true connection starts not with another person, but within yourself. As we've explored through these lessons, relationships are mirrors, reflecting your values, your strengths, and sometimes your wounds. When you approach them with self-awareness, courage, and the wisdom to honor your boundaries, they become spaces where you can grow, heal, and thrive. The Stoics remind us that we cannot control others, only ourselves. This truth is liberating. It means your self-worth doesn't depend on someone else's love or approval. It's shaped by the way you carry yourself, the respect you demand, and the love you choose to give, starting with yourself. Relationships built on this foundation are not perfect, but they are meaningful. They empower you to show up authentically, knowing you are enough just as you are. So, as you move forward, ask yourself, am I showing up in my relationships with honesty, courage, and self-respect? Am I allowing myself to be seen while staying true to who I am? When you answer yes, you'll find that intimacy becomes a source of strength, not because it's flawless, but because it's real. Remember, empowerment isn't about what someone else can give you. It's about the unshakable confidence that comes from knowing your worth. Keep building that foundation. The rest will fall into place.